it's the journey, not the destination. And I'm like, nope, bullshit. I want the destination. Because it's like when you're going through that pain, ideating and feeling suicidal, you want to know when it's going to end. Is the pain going to continue? So I don't give a shit about the journey. Like,
Hey there, my name is Sean, and this is Suicide Noted. On this podcast, I talk with suicide attempt survivors and ideators so that we can hear their stories. Every year around the world, millions of people try to take their own lives, and we almost never talk about it. We certainly don't talk about it enough, and when we do talk about it, when we do engage with people who are suicidal or who are in that kind of pain or any pain, we're not very good at it. So one of my goals with this podcast is to have more conversations and hopefully better conversations with survivors, in large part to help more people in more places hopefully feel hashtag a little less shitty and a little less alone. Now, if you are a suicide attempt survivor and you'd like to talk, please reach out. I'd love to talk with you. hello@suicidenoted.com. You can learn more about this podcast by visiting our website, suicidenoted.com, or checking out the information right here in the podcast description or the episode description. If you're a regular listener, you probably know that we are going on tour at the end of this month. We're starting in Raleigh and we are ending in Tucson, and we will probably be hitting 20 or so cities to take this show on the road, to have in-person conversations with an audience, and that is going to cost some money. Yeah, you know where this is going. So if you can help out, or perhaps you know someone who can help out, share the link with them. It's givebutter.com/suicide noted. Again, you can find that link in those places I just mentioned. That is tax deductible, and I think that can make a difference for some people. I want to thank Tor for contributing. Thanks very much, Tor. And I want to share with you where that money is going to go. For the tour, gas, food, lodging, that kind of thing. You probably know that we are trying to transcribe and translate all of our episodes so far more people around the world can either hear them or read them. And we have a goal of outsourcing the editing. It is a very laborious task so that I can focus on connecting with more people, having more conversations, creating a speakers bureau modeled in part after what we are going to do on the tour. If that's of interest to you, if you're curious about that, please reach out. I'd love to share more with you about that idea. So you get the gist. It would help out a lot. However you're involved or participate or support, I really do appreciate it. Finally, we are talking about suicide here on the Suicide Noted podcast, and my guests and I, we don't hold back. So please take that into account before you listen or as you listen. But I do hope you listen because there is so much to learn. Today, I am talking with Alfred again. Yes, it's an update episode. Alfred lives in California, and he is a suicide attempt survivor. All right, Alfred in California.
yep. So we talked in 2022, I believe.
Yep.
That's what you said in May.
Episode 120.
Yes. Yeah.
You're still
Okay.
You're still in California?
Still in California. Yeah. So between now and then, got married, bought a house. I just finished my hours for licensure to become a social worker in California. So kind of how this all ties in. I know you were asking before we hit record, like, oh, do you think it's all tied in because of our podcast? Funny enough, actually, yeah. I had my girlfriend, now wife, listen to the podcast I did with you, the first one, because suicide was such a huge part of my past. And it still is. Like, I still have suicidal ideations from time to time. And I figured, I should just let her see the darkest side of me, if you want to use that word. So she listened to it and she wasn't scared or turned off or anything. She kind of just accepted me. And I'm like, okay. So yeah, that's kind of how I knew she was the one. So
I wasn't invited to the wedding.
I would have invited you if
but it speaks to something that I've heard before, and that it's like sometimes, I don't know if this applies for you, the hey, hear this thing, have a listen is easier than talking sometimes. So in the last few years, how have the ideations been?
They definitely subsided. So marriage has definitely, I don't know, I guess I want to say it helps with the loneliness aspect of it. I've learned some things between doing the podcast and married life. Like, I've never realized how much of an introvert I am. Even though we're married, I value and relish my alone time. Like, I need a lot of alone time to kind of just recharge my batteries, whether that's seeing a movie by myself or working like on a Lego project or doing something on my computer on my own. So that's been kind of a compromise we've been learning about each other. The good thing about my wife is she's very extroverted in the sense that she has a lot of community. So she has a lot of friends. She was in her mid 30s when we got married. So, we both married later in life. So during her singleness, she's had a lot of community and friends that she built up. So naturally, when we got together and got married, her friends were my friends. So there's a lot of like always going out and catching up with her friends, going out to dinners. Yeah, it's kind of that duality that's kind of helped with coming full circle, I guess.
Somebody's looking at your car. It's so weird. Look behind you. Do you think he has any idea we're talking about suicidal related stuff?
No.
It's so weird. Do you remember? I just listened back to the very beginning blurb of our first conversation, and it was, I don't know, did you ever listen to the episode?
Yeah, I listened to it and I'm like, wow, I was all over the place.
You're talking about a war zone and combat, and I know you
Mhm,
served in the military and this ammunition, and it was this intense thing about you fought over there,
mhm.
but the war zone is also over here for you living now. Then you still feel that way?
Funny you mentioned that. So update on that. I also never realized how much I scream in my sleep. I was single and I heavy sleeper. I sleep through it. So I guess I average, at least once a week screaming in my sleep enough to wake my wife up. Ironically, I don't know if it's related to combat or my time in the military. I don't think it is because it's like really weird thing. So like the last one, my wife, because sometimes my wife will wake me up like, you were screaming. What were you screaming about? And the last time was I was taking a shower and our neighbor's dog was staring at me, like so I was naked. I don't know. So ironically, my brother-in-law, her brother, is also a veteran. He's been on combat. He's got like 60% disability that he's claiming on VA, and he found a veterans disability group out in California where they help you file VA claims, or if you're currently a claimant, increasing that claim. So I'm on 30% and I never realized because of my nightmares and screaming, and I guess you could call it PTSD, that I'm might qualify for a 20% disability claim. So yeah, that's another thing. Just like, wow, I never realized how much I scream or kick in my sleep. So like I've hit her a couple times on accident while I was sleeping. It's a little jarring. I never knew that about myself.
Wow. Are you in LA area?
Yep. So we bought a house in Upland, which is 30 miles south of LA.
Okay, so south of LA, and you are a social worker.
Being a clinician, a social worker has really helped me process a lot of suicidal ideations because I have clients now that think like me. Actually, it's funny. I have one client that's also a veteran, very suicidal. And the only reason my client hasn't followed through or thought more about it or entertained it is because he cares so much about his mom and sister. My client used to be addicted to drugs, was not on a good path. His mom really went above and beyond to try to get him rehab and help. Having that person that he really cares in his life, he doesn't want to do anything that would enhance her pain or make her go through any grief. And I know exactly where he's coming from, right? Like, I guess a clinician who didn't have a background with me, it's like, oh, it's a knee jerk reaction. He mentioned suicide
Right.
or ideating. So, oh my gosh, I got to inform my supervisor or report it.
The world
It's,
needs way more people who don't have those knee-jerk reactions.
mhm.
Quick shout out to Sarah. I don't know if Sarah's listening in LA. She works with Living Beyond Suicide, and she reached out to me, and I connected her with a handful of my guests, including you. So what has that been like to work with her or connect with her?
Very cool. Yeah, I did not know she was a suicide survivor. Like you would have never guessed.
Well, how would you ever know?
Yeah, I mean, I just thought she's just some, past CEO that had this great idea and started this organization. But no, apparently, like everyone has had some experience. So it's a very informal group where they meet twice a week on Zoom, and just get together and just talking about our experiences. And then eventually, the goal is try to do like yearly to twice a year in person meetings
I
throughout the
thought they
country.
wanted to do like a zine project.
Yep, a zine project. Yeah. So it's basically, if you have a artistic background, whether music, theater, art, visual, performing, kind of like expressing how, your relationship or your experience with suicide has been, as opposed to just like going to a suicide convention where it's just spouting off numbers, statistics,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. And you're dancing in that space and navigating the space as a social worker, yeah?
yeah. So it's a very interesting duality. It's like, okay, when to report if someone's suicidal versus ideating versus thinking about
Yeah.
it versus past attempts, right? I don't know. I mean, I'm still learning. I just, like I said, completed my hours. I haven't taken the licensure exam yet.
You're in it,
Uh,
man.
yeah, but the thing I've learned is just suicide is very specific. If a person has like an intent and a plan, that warrants mandated reporting versus just, yeah, I thought about suicide, but I don't have any immediate action or I don't have any means or plan of going through it, then that's different. That's kind of the fine line I've learned.
Yeah, and you don't know if they're being honest ever.
Right. And you can only go by what they're saying.
Yeah, you can't read minds yet. Hey, Alfred, give me and the audience, those that are listening, a quick summary of your life from wherever you want to start to when we first spoke.
Two suicide attempts. First one was after my deployment in 2003, 2004. So I joined before 9/11 in the reserves. Back then, there were no resources as a reservist or National Guard coming off mobilization. You
Oh.
were on your own pretty much. And then the second one was really stupid. I lost a basketball game to a friend, not a friend, yeah, a friend that's not really good than me, and I lost to him. And I took that and ran with it because I was just going, it was just like the last straw. Both were overdoses. I was involuntary hospitalized for 72 hours once, and this is when I was seeing a therapist. I have been going to therapy since 98 pretty much for a lot of my life, and I just kind of felt with all the therapy I've been doing, why am I not getting better? So I figured like, okay, well maybe if I show this therapist how dysregulated and distraught I am, they'll see and get me like the real help I need if there was such a thing at that time.
Oh, so that would be under the category of a cry for help,
Mhm.
right? Some people say it's not a cry for case by case. That is 100% that.
And then part of the suicide, loneliness was a huge part of it. Typical immigrant story. My parents worked 7 days a week, 14-hour days in a restaurant. They couldn't really help me because mental health in the Asian culture is not really talked a lot. My interpersonal skills weren't that great, so I didn't have a lot of close friends, or if I did, they had moved on. I just kind of felt alone, and people could not relate to me.
So by the time we talked and connected, because let's remember, you're usually finding the podcast for a reason, and it could be just curiosity, but it's usually also connected to something more personal and related to thoughts about it sometimes. But you're already dating the woman that would become your wife.
No, actually, I hadn't met her yet.
Oh, you haven't even met her yet. Okay.
If you listen to it, I was dating someone I met online that didn't work out. And then ironically enough, I think I had signed up for a year membership, and my now wife was the last person I was going to date before my membership ran out. And I'm like,
Wow.
if this doesn't work out, I'm done with dating. I'm just like, all right, I was, I guess for lack of a better word, at peace with being alone. It definitely I would have ideated a lot more, and would still have been thinking about suicide a lot more, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense, man. So since we talked, no attempts?
No attempts, just thoughts. Since we're married, maybe 3 ideations as opposed
Okay.
to three a month. And we got married in 2023. So
Wow. 2 years in. I am wondering, after we spoke, after our episode came out, the original one, did you share it with anyone in your life?
shared with one clinician the podcast just so they're aware of it, because if they have clients that are kind of feeling the same way,
Yeah.
so they're not as alone. It's just a resource to have, just kind of separating the legality of suicide versus being just able to talk about it and just expressing yourself, just kind of like
Yeah.
letting it all out. I might have mentioned, I've had a few suicide attempts, which I do disclose to clients if it helps them,
Oh, nice.
just so they know, like, oh, you haven't been in my shoes, you don't know what it's like. And it's like, well, no, actually I have, in a way, shape, or form, maybe not to the extent you're describing. Yeah.
Everybody's experiences are unique, but
Mhm.
there's commonalities. I mean, especially if you try it in your life, it's not everybody.
Yep. It's easier said than done. I guess the motto is, does it get better? I don't know, but if you kill yourself, you're never going to find out.
Yeah, man.
I
Yeah.
mean, even in our notes, when we type up our clinical notes after we meet with a client, anytime you mention the word suicide, you have to mention, like, okay, what was the intervention? Was there a safety plan? What did you do to decrease their suicidal ideation? So that has to be mentioned. And I think, ironically, Chat GBT, because we use it for a lot of our notes. Anytime you type in the word suicide, even if it's a part of my note, they either will automatically, like, oh, you got to call the suicide hotline or
Of
something
course.
like.
Yep. I mean, that's just everywhere.
It's getting better in the sense that, it's more common than people think. People are maybe a little more open about it. It's not as stigmatized, I'd want to say.
Is that right? You think so? I mean, you're like in a unique position because you are
Yeah.
on both sides of it. So you're a good person to talk to
Well,
about
I
it.
say stigmatized as in like I see a lot more comfortableness with clients just being more open with suicide attempts, or I've thought
That
about it.
makes sense. Right, right,
Mhm.
right. Okay. I see a lot of dumb shit online that makes me think we're going backwards.
Yeah.
But you have firsthand experience of actually speaking to humans
Hmm.
who are attempting or thinking or whatever. And that's so, yeah, that's interesting to hear.
So I think what's gotten better is the screening has gotten a lot better. So whenever you go to a doctor, even a regular doctor, they do a PHQ-9, which is like a 9 questionnaire on
Get
assessing
all
your suicide.
fancy with me, Alfred. Don't get all trying to impress me with your numbers and your fucking letters. Let's go. What is that? What does that mean? P.S.
They just ask like, have you felt down for the last 2 weeks? Have you had thoughts about ending yourself? So
Mm,
if you score high, they refer you to, in the system, which is again, that's not helpful. So in the system doesn't work.
I laugh at those questions, Alfred. I'll be
Hmm.
honest. I think they're ridiculous, but it could help somebody. So I just my own personal experience.
A lot of times, even if I do feel that way, even now as a clinician, I lie about it because it's like
Yeah,
I
of
know
course.
what's going to happen. You're going to refer me to
Yeah.
inpatient, outpatient. I'm going to stay there for X. It's a waste of time.
Right. But that's and nobody talks, not nobody talks about it, but I could see why people would be hesitant to talk about like the dark side of all this, but like it's
Mhm.
really rather prevalent. So why can't we talk? Were you going to school or thinking about being a social worker when we talked a few years ago? I think you
I
were.
was in school at
Yeah.
that time. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Oh, I think I had just finished school because I graduated in May of 2020. And then COVID adds
Right.
another layer of, the whole isolation and
Oh yeah. Tell you what helped me with all that is this podcast. I started it.
Mhm.
My first conversation with this podcast was probably June of 2020. I didn't ask you about the pink and purple pill. I don't know if you've heard that question.
Mhm.
So if anyone's listening and you don't know what that is, listen to an original episode, whether it's Alfred's or another one. I'm not going over it again. But what would you do with the pill then? Maybe you were guessing or speculating, and now.
Can I tell the audience what?
Of course.
So red pill, blue pill,
No,
if
it's not a red pill, blue pill.
or the pink pill, you said.
It's just one pink and purple pill.
One pink and purple pill. If I could take one pill and it would make all my suicide experiences, ideology, and everything in between go away, would I take it?
No, that's
Uh,
not exactly the right question. It is, I give you a pill that you would just take, go to sleep and no pain and no one knows it's suicide.
oh, okay. Now that's different. Okay, so I'm glad I asked.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm taking away all the common barriers,
Hmm.
fears, concerns, and really just trying to gauge if you want to be alive or not.
Oh, that is a tough one. Before I was married, yes, absolutely. Now it's a
Right.
question mark.
Because you got the partner or some other reasons.
Partner, because I mean, she's going to be distraught if I kill myself, right? So
Yeah.
now it's like, I don't want to say it's selfish. That might not be the right word. My thought is what's going to happen to her if I die and the impact of that. So, not just affecting her, but her family and her friends. So ironically enough, to answer that question, when we got married, we talked about like, you should think about getting life insurance just in case something happens. So we did, just to make sure the mortgage is paid off if something did happen to me. She used to sell life insurance, ironically enough. So she knows, it doesn't cover suicides until after 2 years.
Yeah. Right. Right. With
Yep.
another arbitrary number some actuary came up with. Sure.
Hmm. I mean, I get it from a business point of view. Okay, yeah, sure. Because if I were in business, I'd probably
Yeah.
do the same thing. It's not a resounding no, and it's not a resounding yes. I
Mhm.
lean yes still. That was my knee jerk reaction. Because just because you're married doesn't mean your problems go
Right.
away. It comes with its own
No,
challenge.
no, sometimes they get worse
Mhm.
or some certainly different.
And now we're debating. Well, we're trying to get pregnant and have a baby. So
Oh,
you
wow.
add that into the equation, and it's like, oh wow, I don't know.
Your idea of the pill, which would be a different color pill, we can color it whatever you want. You said red, blue, but that's too matrixy. So you're saying, what was your thing and then what you first said? Because I want to know that too now.
So I was thinking, one pill, you take it and you go through life never having known any mental health issues, depression. The other pill where like everything is status quo and it's you don't go through whatever mental illness a person has.
So you'd be like a different person, but still the same person.
Right, because you know how people say, and I have asked my clients that, oh, if I didn't go through what I'm going through, it wouldn't make the person that I am, that cliche statement.
Right.
And I asked myself, okay, well, do I want to be the person that I am?
That's it. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, again, I don't know, because I've thought about this too when I was suicidal. Like, okay, so I would go really deep. For instance, like, how there's millions of sperm to get to fertilize an egg? I
paranoid.
wonder if it was a different sperm,
Right, right.
would, would I be the same person?
I know. Like, and you don't even know. There could have been like two of them, and like the other one was so close.
Mhm.
Are you the same person? It's like, I don't know how that works. It's words. There are words we're talking about. Words. I don't know. Right. But then, it's also, you could like flip it and be like, you could have been, oh, I don't know. I want to be careful with my words here, but any number of severe debilitating conditions.
Mhm.
I'm not saying there's starving kids in Africa. You should be happy. That's not my argument.
Yeah,
But
no,
I'm
I
just
know.
saying, like, it's so fucking random.
Mhm.
I mean, some people would say, others would say there's
Yep,
fine, whatever, but wow.
yep, everything in between.
So,
So
so, so the answer to that question is still a resounding not sure.
not sure. Yeah. The other cliche is, it's the journey, not the destination. And I'm like, nope, bullshit. I want the destination because it's like when you're going through that pain, ideating and feeling suicidal, you want to know when it's going to end. Is the pain going to continue? So I don't give a shit about the journey. Like it's like I
Wait,
just
wait,
never got that.
Alfred, that's a really good memoir title right there. I don't give a shit about the journey.
Yes.
I really like that as a memoir title for you. You don't have to write the book, but I like it as a title.
And you're free to use it if you ever
Oh,
write a
you're
book
gonna.
yourself.
It's not mine. It's not mine. I don't give a shit about the journey. And you happen to have a Star Wars shirt on. It's kind of connected nicely. I don't know.
Yeah.
If we talked in like, so we talked 3 years ago.
Mhm.
So I know you might have a kid, but in 3 years from now, if we reconnected, what do you think your life might be like? You have any ideas?
I have actually thought about it. So, I've been working on getting my pilot's license for the longest time. So
Well,
hopefully I'll be licensed, have my own plane. Yep, maybe a kid. And then I don't know if I want to go into when I get licensed, if I want to go into private practice or work for the county, so LA County, who's going through some mental health. Their Department of Mental Health is going through some funding cuts. So, here's just a quick snippet. So some of our clients that are on housing vouchers, it was funded to the year 2030, but because of the cuts, it's gonna run out by next year. So now we
mm,
have to figure out, like, where to place them, and it kinda ties in with suicide because it's like they took the risk to get, mental health treatment, and then their mindset's like, "Well, what was the point of seeking help if I'm gonna potentially end back up on the street in a year from now?" They could say, like, "I'm better off just killing myself if that's the case."
did anybody tell you that?
No, I was thinking it, and I talked to one of my clients about it, and they're like, "Yep, that's kinda how I feel." Yeah.
Wow. Right. All right. So somebody who's getting a license and planning maybe a kid and is married and is going to be in social work, you're probably going to be alive.
Yeah. I mean, I see things getting better. I mean, I feel like I can only go up from here. But I think that suicide in me is like, don't let your guard down, And let's just say it didn't turn out great or, my depression's a factor of it. I think there will be a point in my life where I might have a period of just getting in a funk, whatever that looks like, where I do want to commit suicide and I'm not because of, my child or my spouse. So it's kind of like that's torture in itself, I guess, if you want to call it.
I'm thinking of a word. What is this word or this expression? The idea of the things in your life that make it less likely for you to feel as if you want to end it or end your life. What is this word?
I guess like a protective factor.
That's what it is. Thank you. A protective factor.
But I don't look at it that way because it's like I'm still feel like shit inside or also a big believer in personal choice. If someone, not as a clinician, just a person, if they really wanted, if they're at the end of the rope, I would support their decision, whatever that is.
But you can't as a clinician.
And as a clinician, right? So legally, I couldn't say that. Like off the books, yeah, I would.
Well, these are some interesting questions, not just legal, but like moral or ethical that one must wrestle with when they feel like you do, and others I'm sure are like that too sometimes. Do they do like this stuff with words where you're like, don't say commit, say complete? Do they get into it?
Yeah, you don't say commit anymore. You say dying by suicide. Does that make a difference? I mean, language matters. I don't think so. Suicide is suicide, right? Like, I think most of us are smart enough to know, like, okay, it's suicide.
Right. And TikTok doesn't like that word. So there are some situations in which the words as they've developed, and it's who knows how that happens, are more accurate to something that's been like not clear. But suicide is not an example of that. That's just, I think, another example. And from my point of view of just, we're not really comfortable with this idea, the whole thing. So let's just change some words around it. I know the connection of commit to crimes and that you want to steer away. I was thinking, and I was having conversations about this with survivors. It's like, yeah, well, maybe if you stop treating people like they were criminals, if they do something like that, they wouldn't connect with that word so much. Maybe it's a choice that they feel like resonates with them because that's how you're treated up sometimes. Have your ideas about suicide or suicidality changed or shifted at all, particularly from when we talked a few years ago?
Surprisingly, very little. I guess I'm a different person as a clinician than I am as a person. If I can be frank with you, it's like in a clinical setting, if someone comes in and they're suicidal ideations, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. That's just, it's my job.
Yeah.
I'm not going to jeopardize my lifestyle and family by like being the person that I am. Suicide, I equate it with pain, and people just want the pain to stop.
Right. So is that hard though sometimes as a clinician? I don't know how often you're put in that role like where you have to make that choice versus what you might do if it was just a friend of yours at a cafe.
So surprisingly, it's not that hard just because I think I compartmentalize and just kind of separate it. Like that's the reason for burnout. It's just, when you're off, you're off. You have to be able to turn it off. And yeah, it can be kind of cold and callous because, I have a client like he worked so hard to get housed. And then now that he's eventually housed, he relapsed and went back on the drugs. His goal was to live independently. Can you pay your rent on time? All that. So he's relapsed. And then a part of me, it's like, well, sucks for you. It's like, yeah, I'm disappointed. My natural gut instinct is to want to do more as a person and as a clinician. Is it healthy? Probably not. So, yeah, I have to step back.
Right. Do you have a fear? Maybe that's the word that comes to mind. Fear. Like this shit for you, and you might have a kid, right? And you might be a pilot and all that stuff. Is there a fear that it'll always be there, or are you accepting it, or somewhere in between?
I would say before I was married, yes, constant fear.
Right.
Well, not constant. It started off with constant fear, and as like you said, I push back. I don't give up. Yeah, it's decreased and decreased, and then obviously getting married was kind of like, okay, the boulder over the hill. It's not such a steep trajectory. Yeah, I think it's always going to be a part of me. I don't want to say it defines who I am. I was just thinking about what you said. If I had I was just thinking back. If I had a clinician that was suicidal, I think I can bring in a lot of my personal experiences and humanity in it. It's like, look, I know you're suicidal. Legally, I have to report X, Y, and Z. This is
Right.
what's going to happen.
Good. That's great because it's just transparency matters a lot.
There's a thing I learned in my work. If you don't document it, it never happens.
Right. Right.
So I can choose not to document, oh, client, was he or she was suicidal, right? I can say like, okay, off the books. This is what's going to happen from experience. If you're going to say you're suicide and you tell me, and I can't tell you what to say, but if you tell me you're still suicidal, this is probably what's going to happen. They're going to put you in involuntary hold. You're not going to like it. So that I can do that. And if they're still like, nope, I'm suicidal, then it's like, okay, I have to document it.
And your role there, have you learned which hospitals might be better for certain people and have some say in where they go?
Yep. So unfortunately, most of our clients are on Medi-Cal or Medicare. So there's like 3 hospitals that they go to, and they're not good
Yeah, of course. Right.
because it's community. If you have money, yeah, you can go to outpatient or, a nicer, like Kaiser would probably be like the best hospital you could get.
Yeah, but that's how everything always works.
Mhm.
Money is fucking everything.
And if they have beds available. And I'm like, you don't want to be hospitalized because it's literally going to be sitting there and waiting.
But where do they go? What happens if somebody is already said to you, look, you obviously know how they're feeling, but then you say that thing about being involuntarily committed, and they're like, no, fuck that, and you're like, yeah, it's probably not a good idea. Like, what do they do? I mean,
You just have to trust the client. I'm going to call you tomorrow and check up on you. Or if
Yeah.
you want to come back tomorrow, we can
Right.
talk about this some more. Honestly, it is a trust because they could say like, okay, yeah, you're right. And then they could go kill themselves. Or I'm trusting them to not do anything and then that they are going to be there when I call them or that they are going to come in.
I mean, at the end of the day, people are going to do what they want to do to themselves. But like, have you lost anyone? That time will probably come. Just damn.
And I've played that in my head already. How would I handle if one of my clients or someone I knew committed suicide?
Yeah.
I mean, I have a client that was perfectly fine and now they're in hospice right now in a matter of a month, just completely
Wow.
shifted because of a medical condition. How
You
would I
gotta
feel if that client died? And I'm like, honestly, nothing. Like, I don't know if that's cold.
I mean, maybe you have the right kind of, yeah, I don't know. I don't know either. I mean, I think also from what you've shared, you just understand that death is a thing and suffering's a thing.
It's ironic too, even now, I still listen to a lot of like afterlife podcasts, near death experiences. Yeah, and I honestly, believe it or not, I have clients say that if they were to commit suicide, they honestly believe they wouldn't burn in hell because they don't believe in a God that would be that cruel because they're suffering enough already on this earth.
I think that's an interesting perspective.
Yep. So, we talk about that too, because they grew up Christian and,
Yeah.
oh, you're going to go to hell if you commit suicide or, God's going to rain fire and brimstone if you,
Does
whatever.
anybody actually know what brimstone is? I mean, I know what fire is, but what's brimstone? What's your connection to religion or faith or God?
I grew up in a Christian school. I've
Uh-huh.
had my own journey with faith in God. I don't believe God's like this singular entity or person. I think it's energy. I listen to Afterlife podcast too, because ironically enough, there have been a couple on people who died by suicide and, them coming back, letting their loved ones know that they're okay.
It's interesting. Yeah. I'm waiting for that one day from some people in my life. Like, no one shows up, Alfred.
So if there's any comfort, I guess, in suicide and knowing that for your listeners and audience, and even you and me, I mean, I think that hopefully that gives some hope. It's shifted because when I was suicidal, I wanted the thing to be, if I kill myself, I want there to be nothing, just darkness. I don't want to go through some stupid lesson and like, oh, you have to relearn what you were supposed to learn when you came to this earth because it wasn't your time. Ironically enough, even knowing what I think I know just with listening to the podcast, I still find comfort knowing that when you die, you just died. There's just darkness and nothing. It's like what you said, going to sleep and never waking up. Because it's kind of scary. It's like, oh man, I gotta exist in another dimension in some shape or form.
Big change.
Yes.
And totally unknown. Completely understand why people would believe in certain things around that. LA, man, what's going on in LA today for you?
I think in the first podcast I told you I also moved to LA to kind of pursue acting also.
Right.
So ironically, after like the writer strike and COVID and with AI, the industry is really slow. Like there's like no work. It is really slowed down. So that's the other reason I went into social work. And I wanted stability before moving. So I have something to fall back on. Before I would get maybe 3 auditions a month if I was lucky. Now I get one maybe every 6 months.
Holy shit.
If you're in that industry, it is really hard. I'm kind of glad I'm removed from it in the sense that, if I want to, I can just focus on other things.
Yeah.
And then LA's changing because the Olympics are coming here.
And the World Cup is going to be played there too, I think. So right. So the first thing they think about is we have to, quote, clean the streets.
Yes.
And that means essentially sticking people who don't have homes somewhere where at least they're not people can't see them. The visual awfulness of a homeless person. God forbid.
So one of our directors came up with a great solution for homelessness. It's like, okay, we're throwing a lot of this money to build houses. So what she was thinking is you take decommissioned cruise ships, which cost about $100 to $200 million, park them on the port of Los Angeles, and you put those looking for temporary housing in the cruise ships because it's self-contained. You have a hospital, you have a bed, you have a kitchen, you have a morgue, you have a jail. Converting a decommissioned cruise ship, it's way cheaper than the money that the county has thrown at all these, building houses and all these other resources.
Interesting idea.
And they can't leave unless they're on a boat. So, they can't go out and try to get high. If they're serious about help, yeah, stay on a cruise ship until we get you permanent housing. That's actually a great idea. So, I mean, unless someone comes up with something better, I think we should try it.
We have no power though. What else do you want to share, man?
Oh, that's it. Just just wanted to give an update. I listen to the podcast. I try to listen to it weekly. I'm so behind.
Okay.
But it's just so amazing the stories you hear on there. It's like so varied, minor and major, and everything in between. And people's, I don't want to say journey, their destinations where they want to go. I just want to thank you for what you're doing, for having this podcast, and to keep doing it.
You're trying. I'm going to keep. That's the plan. Yeah. Thanks for talking, man, and reconnecting.
I think it's that connection, that little bit of connection that gives people a glimmer of hope of do I or don't I?
Yeah.
And I think in a sense, you're kind of that lifeline to people too, that having that hour or that whatever the time they spend with you to connect.
If that provides people with any something positive or something, that's cool to hear. Or they stop listening because they got a gazillion other choices because that's how the world is, man. You got every podcast right at your fingertips. So if they choose this one, it's intentional.
Well, at that time, and I don't know what it's like now, there was nothing like it on available.
Oh, I don't think there's anything like it. I'd probably know, but who knows? Maybe someone's starting something or, I don't know. Just keep doing it. All right. Well, I hope you have a decent day. I appreciate you reconnecting and talking with me.
No, thank you for having me and giving me this time to catch up. I see nothing but good things with the podcast, and I hope it continues to grow.
Thanks, man. And I wish you luck with if you choose to move forward with your potential family in the coming months and years, perhaps. So I hope it goes well.
Maybe we'll catch up in 3 years again. Who knows?
I would love it. All right, my friend. Enjoy your day, and talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
As always, thanks so much for listening and all of your support. And special thanks to Alfred in California for speaking with me again. Thanks, Alfred. If you are a suicide attempt survivor or ideator and you'd like to talk, I'd love to talk with you. Please reach out. hello@suicidenoted.com. A friendly reminder, we are weeks away from starting the tour. This is self-funded. If you have the means, the interest, if you can help out with a tax-deductible donation, I would really appreciate that. You can find the link, among other links, in the episode description, the podcast description. It is givebutter.com/suicide noted. Thank you, however you are involved or participate or support. I really do appreciate it. And that is all for this week's update episode. Stay strong. Do the best you can. I will talk to you soon.